Calaroga Shark Media.
Busy one today. Hello, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news, a daily briefing on stand-up comedy, comedians in the comedy industry, a sentence the algorithm loves. We've got too much news for one show. I'm still not over the results of Comedy Survivor. Did you hear the episode? We've got a finale coming up. It's going to be Nikki Glaser versus Sarah Silverman. We'll talk about that in the second half because there's a lot going on. Trevor Noah all of a sudden was like, hey, I'm dropping a special on Tuesday. You're what? Yeah. Joy in the Trenches on Netflix today. There is a trailer. In the trailer, he tells a lengthy joke about MLK Jr., and the payoff is visual, so that's why I'm not sharing it with you. It's just a long way to go for something that doesn't make sense for an audio podcast. I like Trevor's stand-up a lot. His specials are always good, so I'm psyched to have this one. Join the Trenches on Netflix today. Trevor Noah. Mark Normand announced a new project. I'm not sure I understand this one. This will be on YouTube. It is called Human Trials. Human Trials will answer questions like, what if a stand-up comedian walked on stage only to find the audience was 50 bald men or 50 clowns or nuns or bikers or goths? Human Trials is an experiment that places comics in front of hyper-niche live audiences. The result is a hilarious and unpredictable environment where the room actively shapes the comedy in real time. The series also incorporates audience interviews and real-time feedback from the crowd, exploring how different demographics think and react to specific kinds of humor. It's described as blending the unpredictability and interactivity of Kill Tony with the social curiosity of Jubilee videos. Mark Normand said, I've done all kinds of shows, and it's wild to see how different crowds react to the same jokes, especially when you get a very specific group all in one room. Scott Dunn, the co-founder of Unicorn, said, I've watched countless comedy specials over the years and always became fixated on watching specific audience members and how they react to the material. No comedian keeps audiences on their toes quite like Mark, which makes him the absolute perfect face for this new approach to the category. I mean, sounds like it could be interesting. I don't think of Mark as a show host, though. Happy to be wrong. I'm not sure that's his particular skill set. We will find out. Boy, people are buzzing about the Flight of the Conchords coming back. They'll be at the Netflix is a Joke Comedy Festival. I looked into going. I was like, you know what? Maybe I will fly out there. I'll visit my daughter. I'll figure it out. And I clicked on the tickets. $610. They could be playing in Morristown, New Jersey. I'm not going for $610. Never mind flying to LA, getting a car, hotel, and all that. $610? No. While I was on the website, the Kevin Hart roast was going for like $340. Which is still ridiculous. No. People are hyped up for this, and to get ready for the LA shows, the Conchords announced they were doing some shows in Wellington, New Zealand, and for $610, it might actually be cheaper to fly to New Zealand to see the show. Not quite, but it's probably arguable. You know what? I'm curious. I'm going to go on kayak. Okay, flight New York City to Wellington. I'll stay the week. I'll sit in economy. $1,800 to get to Wellington, and I'm booking this kind of tight. All right, so to be fair, it's cheaper to go to LA. I'm still not going. $610. Get out. Anyway, the tickets went on sale and sold out within half an hour. Brett McKenzie told Radio New Zealand last month that they were having trouble remembering their own songs. He said, we ended up watching ourselves. We have to pull up YouTube clips to remember how to play our songs. We're like a bad covers band of ourselves. All right, the fun's over. We got to get political here. Joe Rogan on the Joe Rogan Experience explained that he is now politically homeless. Joe Rogan was speaking with guest Arsenio Hall and suggested that misdirection is the story of American politics. Joe Rogan on the Joe Rogan Experience said, look, the Epstein files comes out and we go to war with Iran. It's a good way to get people to stop talking about certain things. You give them a new problem to think about. Joe Rogan then questioned Donald Trump's age, fearing that perhaps the president could act recklessly because he doesn't have much to lose. Joe Rogan said, that's spooky. You're making decisions for babies and children and the future of the world, and you've got 10 years left on Earth if everything goes great. I mean, this is why a lot of people feel betrayed, right? He ran on no more wars and these stupid, senseless wars, and then we have one that we can't even really clearly define why we did it. Joe, yeah, just hi. I'm just saying hi to Joe Rogan. Hey, Joe, how you doing? Hi. Joe, do you like the movie Die Hard? I like the line, if you've ever seen the movie Die Hard, Bruce Willis at one point just goes, welcome to the party, pal. But back to the story here. Joe Rogan seems betrayed by Donald Trump, which is just shocking. Rogan went on to say, two-party systems are inherently flawed. There's no effing way that one side is going to represent you entirely. Some people in the MAGA movement did not enjoy that episode of the Joe Rogan Experience. One pro-Trump user called Joe Rogan a low IQ, POS gaslighting loser. Meanwhile, some comedians are being really mean about the President of the United States. On the Fly on the Wall podcast, David Spade and Dana Carvey were joined by Tim Dillon, and Carvey accused the president of being unhealthy looking. Dana Carvey said, "What's your take on how Trump has his energy at 80 with purple legs and purple hands and is out there just yelling?" Tim Dillon said, my mother once said to me near the end of her life, McDonald's is healthy, is one of the last things she said. It was one of the last pieces of wisdom my mother said before she died. So I think that's something people in my mother and Trump's generation believe, that McDonald's is healthy. And I think if you believe something, it's kind of true. Tim Dillon then went to talk about the war in Iran. Tim Dillon suggests it's the greatest scam in history. You got to hand it to him. And I mean, truly, like not in a moral way, but you got to hand it to him. This is the greatest about-face in political history that I've really ever seen. It's the greatest scam. Tim Dillon also called it an economic catastrophe, adding, "Our government's completely dysfunctional and everybody knows it. So just to keep track here, send your letters to Joe Rogan, Tim Dillon, Dana Carvey, and David Spade." Meanwhile, Dave Chappelle was on the lawn of a newly restored 19th century schoolhouse, joining local officials as Dave is credited helping to save a small-town radio station. It was the ribbon-cutting ceremony for WYSO's relocation into its new broadcast facility inside the Union Schoolhouse. Chappelle said, "It's like our lifeblood in the community. If you have the opportunity like I did to invest in your community, that's one of the greatest investments I've ever made. In some ways, it feels dutiful. Other times, I feel proud, but ultimately, I'm doing it because I want to, not because I have to." Dave Chappelle said stations like WYSQ serve as a stabilizing force. He described it as a beacon for sanity, offering a solid baseline of truth and context in a fragmented information landscape. After the ceremony, Chappelle said, "I'm more determined and inspired that these institutions flourish and stay of the people. The only way they can do that is people supporting them. I'm hopeful more than worried." The stars of The Pit could have been in SNL's Maha parody, but they didn't get approval in time. Patrick Ball, he plays Dr. Langdon on The Pit. Do you watch The Pit? The Pit's fantastic. He and the nice lady that plays Dr. Santos were invited to be on the Harry Styles episode of SNL. Patrick Ball said he got a call late, midnight, night before. They were trying to get me in the skit, and we didn't have time to go through the proper channels and get it cleared, so it didn't work out. But he said he did get invited to watch the sketch. We got to sit in Lauren's office with all the little index cards and the rundown and watch the show, and then went to the after party, and we got to meet Harry Styles. He said of Harry Styles, "I've never seen an audience become so spellbound in my life. Like he walked in and people just went into a trance. It was unbelievable." As I mentioned at the beginning of the program, it is the finale of Comedy Survivor. We're down to two comedians. It's Sarah Silverman versus Nikki Glaser. Here's what you do. You go to the Facebook group, Daily Comedy News Podcast Group, and you write down the name of the person you want to go home, okay? You're still voting someone off the island. If you want Nikki to win, you write Sarah. If you want Sarah to win, you write Nikki, right? We send people home on Comedy Island. So vote someone off. Have I made that clear? You're voting off. Go to the Facebook group, Daily Comedy News Podcast Group. I went out. I left the house. My daughter got me tickets to see Atsuko Okatsuka. We went down to Princeton, and we had some nice Mexican food for dinner, and then walked over to the theater. It was fantastic. She's really good. And it was fun for me to just go as a civilian, so I wasn't at a festival, I wasn't working, I wasn't credentialed, I just, had a ticket like a normal person and sat there sort of like a normal person. I'll come back to that. I enjoyed watching the other people in the audience laugh, but just the way my brain works, I couldn't help but analyze the set. So I'm sitting there and I'm just enjoying Atsuko, and then her chunk ends, and I start speculating that felt like it was a 15-minute chunk. Don't check your watch, don't check your watch, don't check your watch. I checked my watch, and it was 15 minutes. I'm like, okay. And then she does another chunk, and I'm like, that felt like 15 minutes again. I check my watch, 16. And then she does another chunk. The third chunk is the strongest. I won't spoil it. We're not going to tell you anything she joked about, but this whole thing is special ready. Like, she could record this right now. No crowd work, no goofing around, everything with intent, callbacks. It's all there. She's got a set here. She's got an hour. Chunk 1, 15. Chunk 2, 16. Chunk 3, 14 minutes. And then the last chunk was whatever gets you to 58. So let's see, I'll do lazy math, 15, 16, 14. So about 13-minute chunk there. On the way home, I was, my daughter and I, we were just talking about all this, and I was explaining the whole chunk thing. And then we were just talking about the interview with Pete Holmes, and we had an hour drive home. We talked about all kinds of things. And then I was like, I wonder if she's recording this for YouTube and deliberately had the chunks, because she can go full stop after each chunk and throw a break in there. I'm wondering if she actually patterned her set that way. Anyway, she was fantastic. She's just got it. The whole package is there. The comedy, obviously, the persona, the look, the energy. I noticed she ramps the accent up and down depending on what she's doing. I really loved it. It was a great show. The opener was Maddie Kelly, who I have to research if she's opening all the time. I suspect not, because she pronounced Atsuko's first name with an extra syllable in there. And I imagine if you opened for Atsuko every night, you would pronounce Atsuko the way Atsuko does, which is Atsuko. Maddie Kelly was pretty good. She mentioned she was 29. Maddie, if you're listening, here's my pro tip. Don't curse. You're so close to working clean. Drop the F-bombs, and there's one joke where I suggest you use the word urine as opposed to a different word that's a little more harsh, a little more coarse. But she's got it there. But then Atsuko comes out and just next levels it. So that was really good. If Atsuko comes to your town, go see Atsuko Okatsuka. Also, I will say one thing about the set that I wrote down. No stuff about her husband. And her husband was even at the show. So this is different material. This is not just like, okay, more the same, we know what you do. She went in a completely different direction here, and I liked it a lot. Atsuko Okatsuka at Princeton last week. Today, all right, if you don't want to watch Trevor Noah, you can bounce on over to the 800-Pound Gorilla. Joe Dombrowski's Dad on Arrival's on the 800-Pound Gorilla YouTube channel. The Melbourne Comedy Festival continues. Jez Watt's show is called As Seen Nowhere. I pulled a clip. They're the ones that added the bleep.
I was in Sydney and I was trying to sleep in the top bunk while two British backpackers on the bottom. And that's not good at any age, but at 39, that was the first time in 10 years of comedy I did start to think, maybe. Ivan Milat had a point. Now, he was a famous Australian serial killer who almost exclusively killed British backpackers. All I'm saying is, maybe he wasn't born bad. Maybe it was just one too many YHA dorm rooms that drove him to become an Australian hero. I'm not saying we should kill all English. No, just specifically those two. Because, man, they made me listen to the most aggressively British sex I have ever been exposed to. Like, when that guy came, he yelled, "For the king." It was very upsetting.
And Mindy Kaling is back with a new show. Hulu has announced the release date of Not Suitable for Work, June 2nd. Not Suitable for Work will launch with 3 episodes on June 2nd, followed by 2 new episodes each week until the finale, June 23rd. Why are we racing through this? Usually not a good sign. In Not Suitable for Work, we follow 5 work-obsessed 20-somethings striving for professional success, and if they have the time, personal happiness in Manhattan's most glamorous neighborhood, Murray Hill. And that is your comedy news for today. Go to the Facebook group, Daily Comedy News Podcast Group. Send someone home. Either send Sarah Silverman or Nikki Glaser home off Comedy Island. And coming up on Monday, we will have the results of Comedy Survivor. I'll probably be back in a couple hours with a Scrubs recap. That's the plan right now. All right. See you at some point in the future.